Questions for Coach.
Bodie, just want to catch up with you. Obviously, one of the new faces here on this campus. Certainly not a stranger to Western Kentucky, though. Haven't competed against them. Just tell me about the decision to land at this spot and what you've been working on.
Well, Western's been a place that I've really had my eye on from afar. Admired this program, admired what Coach Helton does, especially with quarterback play and the style of offense that they've had here. So really, truly a blessing to have this opportunity and uphold the standard for which Western Kentucky offense is supposed to be, and just put my own little flavor on it. And so far, so good. I think the guys are really responding well, and great group of coaches to be with.
You mentioned kind of putting your own flavor on this offense. Exactly, like, what do you mean by that? Like, what
Well,
are some of the things you brought to this university?
Well, I think that you can inherit a lot of things, and I certainly wasn't going to come in and rock the boat. Been so good for so long, and Coach Helton is so involved in the offense because it is his offense, right? But there's going to be things, whether it be a route concept here or a run concept there, that I believe in, and I know that I can get the quarterback to operate at a high level. So just kind of salt and pepper things in to complement the offense.
Right. I mean, you've been in a few stops in your coaching career. Is this more of a collaboration than you've ever had with a head coach, or does he kind of let you do your thing and just pitches in? How has that relationship developed?
Well, when you've made stops, you work for offensive coaches and defensive coaches, and the dynamic is always different. This is probably the closest that I've had to, either being at Eastern Washington or Oklahoma State, where Coach Gundy at Oklahoma State really had a heavy hand in the offense, and then the offensive coordinator, kind of put his spin on things, but it was always going to be Coach Gundy's offense, and it was going to be his DNA and his identity. And then I went to Eastern Washington from there, and they had a great tradition of success in offense, and same thing, just kind of putting your own spin on it. So I think, I've been in collaborative, situations before, and I really enjoy it because I think that, the more heads the better, right? And more ideas the better, and you bounce things off, and then you end up coming with the right idea.
You come in here where there's a lot of good talent in the quarterback room with Rodney and Brock, and then there's a lot in the wide receiver room. How does that help you when you know you have all that talent?
Well, it certainly helps when you got a quarterback. A guy that's proven and he operates at a high level, and then you bring a guy in like Brock that can push him and has played in some big games and some big moments, and he kind of has his own skill set that allows him to be dynamic in the offense. And we're blessed to have two guys that can really play at a high level. And then you talked about the receiver room. Those guys can go and make plays, and then there's a lot of them. There's depth in that room, and I think that when you have that combination of things, it gives a play caller confidence. Because like you saw us today at times, like it's 3rd and long. Well, that's just another down. Because we have the skill guys that can go get the ball, and the quarterbacks that can make the play.
Certainly, you inherit a pretty good one in Rodney, who had to step in last year and really performed pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to get your impressions of him and what you got to work with.
Man, he's cool as a cucumber. He's hard to shake. He's never too high, never too low. He always has that calm demeanor about him, and it doesn't matter if it's the first play of practice, if it's the last play of practice, if we're in a scrimmage and it's 3rd down, whatever it may be. He's really hard to shake. So I think that's a good quality to have in a quarterback, to be mild-mannered, but at the same time he's confident.
Last year, too, just remember watching your offense against this team. Bodie was a guy that definitely gave the defense here problems, both with his arm and with his leg. Do you incorporate that running aspect a little bit more, you think?
Yeah, we certainly want to use the quarterback as a runner. We want to make sure that they have to defend all 11 players on the field. We got two guys that can run the ball and try to keep people out of man coverage, so we're definitely going to use the quarterback as a runner.
It didn't really hit on the running backs, too. You have some holdovers, but a lot of newcomers there, too. Guys with high-level experience that got some carries. It looks like it could be a really good group.
Well, and Coach Applewhite does a great job with them, creating competition in the room, and there's never a dull moment. Those guys are pushed all the time, and you really, when you think about the running back room, they're only good as each other, because if you have one, you have none. And I think that, with depth at that position, and you can, fresh legs make good legs, and those guys can sub each other in and out, and they're good complements to each other. So blessed to have all 5 of them.
You'll have Coach Bernardi as your co-OC. Tell me about that relationship, how you dividing it up.
Yeah, well, I've known Coach Bernardi for a few years, going back to the time at Auburn, and he was instrumental in getting me here to Western, and I think we have a really good working relationship. He has a great command for that room. He has a lot of football knowledge. We can run a bunch of different schemes. He's not set in his ways, so it's definitely going to be collaborative with Coach Bernardi, and not necessarily dividing it up, one way or the other, as much as working together.
Does that allow you to kind of take your eye off that O-line a little bit, though, or completely? How much do you have to worry about that?
Well, if I'm coaching the O-line, we got problems. All right, so I think it's good to have a good leader in that room.
That's good.